Hi, this is Stacy with Gooseberry Bridge Farm, and today I am in the quite dead and messy garden. So right now, my hands are all dirty. I decided I was going to plant garlic, and I decided I wanted to plant my garlic where my tomatoes will go next year. Garlic and onions I always plant in March, and I plant them in between the tomato plants, but I decided I wanted to also plant garlic in between the tomato plants because it helps keep pests away, especially when the plants are young, and it just fits really well in between them in these rows. Let me show you. So there's Shoes the cat playing, but we have these rows where we plant our tomatoes. There's also peas here. There's all sorts of stuff that we plant in between. These peas are actually like super cool. They're so fun. I don't even know what they are. Anyway, but you can see a dead tomato plant there. It's a tree. There's dead plants every about 3 feet. There was a tomato plant. And then in between the tomato plants, I had onions. In these rows, I had really thick onions, and then in the back, I had like less onions, and also had some other herbs and things, basil. I plant dill between my tomatoes, not like super heavily, but just a few plants here and there. A lot of dill is supposed to be bad for tomatoes. This is asparagus right here that just volunteered. I have volunteer asparagus all down here, which I think will be really cool in the spring if I can remember where it is. So I'm going to try to mark that asparagus as I go. And I was pulling out weeds. This is the area I started working on. So all of this, and I also trim back that is mullein, and those are leaves I'm going to dry, and then the rest of the leaves I've been tucking under the edges of the weed fabric just kind of as an extra mulch layer, because that plant was huge. And then I pulled out another plant, and then I have more mullein growing back here. It's medicinal herb, also kind of like it's really taking over. So I'm gonna leave some of these because these are the plants. It's a biannual, I believe it's called. It grows 1 year and then the next year it blooms. So these plants all came up this year, and so next year this is where I'll get the flowers, and that's the main part. You can save the leaves to use for tea, but the best part of the plant for most things that we use it for are the flowers. And I always lose some of these over the winter, so I'm kind of like, do I really want to take them all, like half of them out? But I do. They're really just, but like, see, I'll probably leave this one because it's on the end of the row and it's out of the way, but I'm gonna have to get rid of some of these or I won't have anywhere to put tomatoes. I've also got a few back there, but they're pretty easy to rip out at this point. They don't come back. Oh, there's dill back here. Anyway, these are also tomato rows. There's a dill plant that reseeded. I haven't been out here in a couple weeks, but so in between all of these plants, like all of these other things that are not mullein, I'm gonna have to take out. But here I also have borage. That one's borage. That one is comfrey. So see how I want to leave some of this stuff. And the dill reseeded really nicely after it finally rained 2 weeks ago. So I've got dill here. There's a really healthy looking plant there. There's 2 more plants there. There's another one and another one and another one. So I'll be coming out here to harvest all this dill and freeze dry it so that we have some dill. I use it to make ranch seasoning. Why is there columbine here? There's 2 of them. Yeah, so anyway, look at this. This is columbine. And all of these tiny plants right here, you can see those. I'm trying to focus the camera. All of those are dill. They're growing on top of the weed fabric in the this stuff, so they're clearly not going to make it. But here's another columbine. That's just a flower, if you're not familiar with columbine. All those are baby dill. So we had like, oh, and there's more here. We had a few, oh my gosh, this is crazy. We had maybe 2 months without significant rain, and I did not water this area. Sorry, there's more dill. So anyway, I'll be coming through here over the next, I was hoping today, but it is already 2 o'clock and I'm clearly not making as fast a progress as I thought I would, because in my mind, this was all going to be dead weeds. Just heard a weird noise. Anyway, this will be cleaned out, and I'm going to plant a garlic clove or 2 about every foot is my plan. I have a 200-ish garlic cloves that I saved from our harvest this year. So I'm going to plant those, and then they'll just be here, and the nice thing about that is they won't be taking up a different spot. So we will just have them in between. I really like the efficiency of planting all of these things between the tomato plants. Basil's the other one I think I mentioned, some dill. I had like a tiny fraction of that much dill planted, not the tiny ones, but the bigger ones. Like I probably only planted one every 3 feet on these rows. And then I read that you shouldn't do that, but I've always done it and it works. So I'm just gonna not worry about that. But anyway, and then in the fall, after my dill, onions, etc. were done, in between the tomatoes, I went back and planted peas. So we saw those over in the other section. I had to weed everything and then plant the peas, and so that is the other reason I thought I would be ahead on weeding, but no. And all of that mullein was not really there in August, and it's now November. So most of those plants were like, they just appeared out of nowhere. But I mean, mullein seeds are about the same size as like snapdragon seeds, which is like a grain of sand. And they really make a lot of seeds, since they grow like a 4 foot tall flower stalk, and I let them flower because I collect flowers. But when you collect the flowers, you leave the seeds and then they're everywhere. But it means I don't have to grow mullein on purpose, so that's nice. These are carrots and beets. I left these few carrot plants to feed the black swallowtail caterpillars at the end of summer because they were everywhere and had nothing to eat. So I got that. I have some regrowth on my thyme and rosemary since it finally rained. And this is parsley. My parsley looks really good. I have parsley planted in several other places around the farm. This was supposed to be my fall lettuce and greens. There's an onion that I missed last spring, and a plantain. But they did not germinate at all. Like a whole packet of lettuce seeds, nothing. Over here, there's another area where we have a whole bunch of volunteers. This is all oregano, so this is a perennial. But all of these seedlings are bachelor buttons. So they're a flower that I had planted here. And then there's also these tiny guys are feverfew or chamomile. I can't really tell it that size. This is a feverfew plant that came up on its own. Feverfew is another medicinal herb that I like to just have show up. So then we also have, by not cleaning up, whites and more bachelor buttons just growing on top of the weed fabric. So those will probably, I'll probably try to move them actually, if I move them soon. And also this, I think those are all bachelor buttons too. Yep, more bachelor buttons. So this I will leave. I don't know if those are too. I know it looks really thick, but some of them will die over the winter since that's just how things go here. So I will leave those. Looks like, I can't focus. It looks like more dill over here and all in that pile of leaves. Okay, I have one more bed to show you that is all volunteer stuff. where I left a mess and I got rewarded, really. So my children have thrown socks in this raised bed, so I'm gonna move those. But this is a bathtub. I'll back up. I use it as a raised bed. I was thinking about putting a bunch of new soil in here, but then I realized, so all of this is carrots that were almost dead that I left for the bugs. I don't know if it's even worth harvesting them at this point. I'll pull one just to see. Whoa, that's 2. Those look like reasonable carrots. This is a... Okay, come on, phone. This is a short variety. This is a yellow carrot. So I will put those inside later. There's also mullein growing in the bathtub. It just gets everywhere. So these little guys, come on phone, these are chamomile and these are cilantro. And they are just all over. So I had this bathtub full of chamomile this year. I really like growing it here because it's happy. Number one, there's all over here too, cilantro and tiny chamomile. It's really easy to harvest though. It's like when the chamomile is blooming, it's about waist high. You don't even have to bend over because you pick the flowers off to harvest chamomile. It's also growing in the back of this toilet, cilantro and chamomile everywhere. So I'm really excited about that. There's a cat here. It's really distracting. I know there was someplace else that I saw. Oh, here it is. Okay, so here's some lavender that I managed to kill. But this tub had sweet potatoes and peppers in it, so did these other ones, and also borage. And I can't remember what else, but these are baby borage there. They might overwinter. It just depends. Last year I had some overwinter, but most years they don't. It just depends on if it stays. Here's a bunch more. If it stays warm, and this is all borage. So these big ones will probably die because they're too big to survive the super cold weather. But if they stay small and kind of just stop growing, then they have a chance. And then I'll have borage all in here. And even if they do die, chances are very good that there's more seeds that haven't germinated. So I'll have some later. Anyway, back to my area here. So I've probably done like 10 feet of this row. That's cotton candy, different cat than earlier. So I think I'm gonna take my garlic back inside and not plant it today, but I am gonna try to finish cleaning out this row. So it's fun when I say I'm gonna talk about something at the beginning of a video and then I have really no plan and I just talk about whatever. But that's basically what I did today. All right, so we had to quit the other day, as I mentioned. Didn't have enough time to keep planting garlic and cleaning out the light here is just horrible. The garden. So today I brought reinforcements. I have my 4 youngest kids and we are tearing out all the tomato vines that were on these things and weeding and pulling stuff aside to feed the pigs, and then we are going to get the garlic planted. All right, so I'm just gonna have to work through the barking dog and the bright crazy sunlight to show you what we accomplished. The garlic is about half planted. I'm gonna rush to plant the rest as soon as I finish making this video. Maybe I can stand over here. Anyway, I'll show you this section too. Hold on. So with an entire day and the help, you know, sort of help, sort of not, of all the kids, we've got a lot of piles of weeds. The other section over there where we started is mostly cleaned up. We basically pruned all the mullein, which sounds silly, but that's what we did. Got it kind of out of the way. By the way, the dog is freaking out because the kids are feeding rabbits and chickens and he can see them, but he can't get to them, and they're touching birds and rabbits, and it's just a whole big tragedy. Anyway, this is how much garlic we have left. And I decided to clean up a lot more stuff. This was all beans. They're kind of mostly cut down. I need to sweep that off the weed fabric, and then we'll pull all this weed fabric up and replace it for the winter with a layer of hay, mulch. I'm going to, all of this has garlic planted in the bare spots, so like here, but not in between the mullein, and this is all planted with garlic about a foot apart, so we have room to put tomato plants in, and we have room to put onions in later, a few onions in between them. We plant them pretty close together because they're in these long rows and they just kind of work toward the edges. And I left a few of the pea plants. We just worked around them, not because I'm expecting more peas, but because I want to feed them to the rabbits in a few days, because I just fed them a whole bunch of stuff today. And we also gave the big peas that were over here that were like super tall, those went to the pigs and they enjoyed that thoroughly. So anyway, we're going to mulch all of this too with the goat poop hay from their house. Like when we shovel the barn. I was looking for these gloves, I finally found them. Anyway, so this will all be mulched. I'm just going to do it by hand. We'll bring a wheelbarrow in and I'll make a little line of mulch just so it's done. Hopefully I'll do that before the garlic starts popping up. So that's done. I did thin out the volunteer dill and everything else back here. Oh, that makes more sense there now that I'm looking at this. This isn't weed fabric, that's why it looks so messy. I never put it back there, but we will still be same idea. The ground will get covered with mulch, and this will all be mulched with hay. Also, I didn't finish this corner because it was just it's so bad I didn't want to, and it's getting dark. I only have, what time is it? It's almost 4. I only have like a half an hour left to finish this before I have other things I need to be doing. So what was I talking about? Okay, if I keep picking like the worst possible place to stand with the light, and then this isn't great either, but anyway, I'm gonna get down and plant these garlic cloves. And this is not okay. How'd you guys get in here? We have these 2 feral yard chickens. I'm gonna be redoing the chicken fence this year. I mean, this is not horrible because they're eating out of the piles that we just put the weeds, but I don't really want them to eat all my new dills. Hopefully they'll eat the stuff that's on the fabric and it'll be okay. Oh, they're getting out of the frame. Hi, Robin. Robin's picking up rocks for me. Not just sitting there watching chickens, right? Okay, back to garlic planting. I keep talking about planting garlic, that I should do a little bit about how to plant garlic. I am planting the garlic about, get my shovel in there, that deep. That's a technical measurement, about as deep as my finger. How deep you plant garlic depends on your climate and what kind of winters you have. It normally is planted about 6 inches apart. I told you how far apart I'm putting it because I'm going to be mixing it with other things. And I'm scooting down my row here. Pointy side up. That's like the only other thing. This is what you plant. Garlic. I've got a whole tray of it here. Some of these are hard neck, some of them are soft neck. Hard neck garlic is where you get garlic scape, so I always want to make sure I have some of that. And hard neck garlic is also a little bit more winter hardy, cold hardy. In our zone, in zone 6, sometimes 5, sometimes 7, we can plant, Robin's just staring at me. We can plant garlic, hard neck and soft neck garlic, and both of them usually make it just fine. I haven't had any issues with them not making it. This is a tomato tag from earlier, and I took gloves off. Anyway, I'm hitting a rock. I thought I would try to do an action shot here and keep talking about garlic, but I'm just digging out a rock. Another one. Robin's got the rock. Okay. Okay. So, anyway, the other thing besides garlic scapes is that soft neck garlic keeps longer than hard neck garlic in storage. All of our garlic that isn't here on this tray from this year is peeled, and then some of this is squishy. Like, this is not going to be good for even planting. Most of it is fine. There we go. But, and then some of them got a little mildew, but I think, well, I dropped it. I think they'll be fine because it's not squishy, but we'll see. Oh, my nail's super broken. Anyway, so all of our garlic for eating, since we don't have a good place to store it, got peeled and is in the freezer. And we're going to freeze dry it and make some really good freeze dried garlic. All right. Is there anything else you want to say, Robin?
Not really.
Now we have a cat helping us. This is Gooseberry. You want to look at the camera, Gooseberry? He does. Okay.